All right, guys, we are at the end of day 3 at NAMM. They're already closing us down, but we want to make sure we get this interview in because we are with a front of house legend. This is Dave Morgan. He's worked with, some of the biggest names ever: James Taylor, Carole King, Paul Simon, Stevie Nicks. In the world of live mixing, this guy really is like the guy, the legend, and it is an honor to be with you here. Dave, welcome to NAMM.
Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you just gave a fantastic open mix demonstration. You used a Jason Mraz song. You showed people a lot of cool things. For the viewers at home, can you give a little summary of what you showed, what you went over?
Well, we went over my approach to lead vocals and background vocals in a live format and trying to talk about the different challenges that we have to address every day in doing a live show versus the kind of challenges that a studio engineer might have to meet, but how the same plugins create enhanced environment in my world just as they would in a studio world. I might use them differently, but the plugins are just as valuable.
Can you tell us some of the specific plugins you went over and maybe a little bit how you were using them?
Well, what we built for an audio chain on Jason's voice was the first plugin that we dropped into the audio chain was an NLS channel, an input. NLS stands for nonlinear summing. It's one of the magical plugins that Waves has developed because it recreates the characteristics, the audio characteristics of the input amplifier on a SSL G4000 analog console. Having worked on those pretty extensively in the 80s, I know what I'm listening for. And when I first heard it, it was such a dead-on emulation that I felt compelled to use it. What I explained to the people here was that for me, it's most valuable on mono sources, thickening up mono sources, because I deal with a great deal of spread as far as my the arrays on the sound system that I use. Typically, the spread between left and right columns in modern line arrays is somewhere between 50 and 70 feet. Anything that's in the center channel, anything that's dead mono, really has to be thickened up and enhanced. And so that's the first step, is adding the harmonic complexity that I get with the NLS. The next step I showed them was dropping in a CLA2A compressor with very, very slight compression, but once again, we're adding harmonic content. And then the next thing I dropped in was a C6. And there's certain parts of the raw vocal track that I wanted to control a little more precisely in terms of frequency bands and in terms of using a tight band parametric to create a little mini de-esser that when he hit a specific frequency would take out a little bit more. So we just went through thresholds, setting up the band limitations on the pass bands on the C6, and implementing the parametric as well. You know, as you increase in SBL in a live sound system, you have to be cognizant of frequencies that will jump out and create an ear fatigue situation. We want the listener to walk out of the building after a show feeling that his or her ears are in the same condition that they were in when they walked in. I like to caress people. I don't like to slap them.
Wow, that right there was like just a couple minutes of a master class of live vocal mixing. And for Jason Mraz, who's such a great singer, me personally, I love him, and I think he's just a wonderful artist. You talked about a lot of great plugins, and of course, this is NAMM, and we've got a couple new ones. Have you had a chance to check out any of the new stuff?
I really enjoy programming reverbs. It's one of the things that gives me a lot of pleasure in rehearsal time. I really like trying to match a reverb to a song in the most special way possible. Having these plugins that I can call up in a snapshot, variations of a plugin that I can call up in a snapshot is really me being able to exercise my art much more specifically and carefully. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into the IR stuff, yeah.
All right, guys, you got it. This was worth all the price of admission right here. Dave Morgan, FOH legend, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure to do what I can for Waves.